to Something in Common. I'm Nino.
I'm Blackberry.
Exactly. And you're probably wondering, after the first few episodes that you've seen, depending on the order,
We don't know what episodes you've seen.
I don't know what episodes you've seen, but we look different. And that's because we're adults now.
And he had me out at some boring ass clubs last night. So.
And then he woke me up unprepared, but that's another topic.
Well,
Jump right into
you should always be prepared as an adult.
Ooh, that's a good segue. All right, let's go.
But do you think so, actually?
No.
Okay, me neither.
Because we've never been this age before. I think that we're too old to do stupid shit. Like things that we've already know that we are like saying we're gonna get gas in the morning before work. that's never. I mean, that's not gonna happen. If it does, we're gonna be late.
Yeah.
But everything else, like if we've already been there, done that, then we should already know to just like it's a chop.
What other things are that we're too old for?
You should be able to read, like, this kind of ties into the relationship thing, like reading red flags, knowing how to make responsible decisions for yourself, like having a stronger sense of discernment.
Do you think you should have that all down pat by the time you're 30?
I think you should have a solid foundation. I think obviously we're going to make mistakes no matter what, but it just shouldn't happen as often, I think. And if it does, then you're probably just not growing.
Well, what exactly is adulthood, in your opinion?
I think adulthood, I guess it depends on what. Not you want to cover your panties. I think adulthood it really depends. There's different aspects of adulthood. I don't know. It's a tough question. I don't know that I have the definition for what adulthood is. I think it's just we get older and that's just what it is.
I think at the basics, adulthood is getting up, going to work, paying your bills, being independent.
That's interesting. Now that you've said all these things, my brain is like twisting and turning right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think adulthood is not all of those things. I think society tells us that adulthood is those things.
But I think those are the basics.
No, I don't even think those are the basics. I think adulthood is about just making your own decisions and owning them.
So if you make a decision to be jobless and on the street,
if that's what you want. There's people who quit their jobs and like move to states.
they.
Am I not speaking to someone?
I wasn't homeless.
You weren't homeless. Well, I mean, I think that's like a little tough to say. Like to be like, oh yeah, adulthood is to be homeless. I think it's just a matter of owning those decisions. I think it really comes down to accountability, and that's it. I think adulthood means you take full accountability for all of your decisions.
Don't send no emails. I've been homeless. I can speak on this. Is that something else you didn't know?
I mean, I knew, but I didn't know you were going to tell me. Okay.
Well, it's because I made the homeless thing. People are like,
Oh, yeah.
You have to say houseless now.
I mean, I guess since you've been there, I wouldn't say that you chose to be homeless. Are the people that were taking care of you? That's what I say. I don't think the people that were taking care of you chose that for themselves either, or for you guys.
Okay, now that you frame it like that,
but
that wasn't a choice. It was like a matter of circumstance.
You're right. Which is why I'm saying I think adulthood is just taking accountability.
See how we unpack that?
Yeah, it's taking accountability. So like you said, it wasn't a choice, it was a circumstance. And so I think adulthood is, okay, this is what I can do and what can I do to get out of this situation. Like, I think that's adulthood.
Did you have any expectations of adulthood that changed for you when you became an adult?
Yeah, no one ever talks about how often you have to find food and cook for yourself and just do everything by yourself, wash clothes. I definitely thought that going into adulthood was going to be like, when you're a teenager, you feel like you have all the answers.
Mm-hmm. And
then like as you get older, you're kind of like, I don't really know. And then I thought, like as an adult, the way that we used to look up to adults, I thought like, oh, they know everything. And I realized they don't know
shit.
Yeah.
I thought adulthood was freedom without the responsibility.
Mm.
So that's why I said like being an adult is
like no bills type of, or like what?
I didn't have like the language for that. So that's why I say being an adult is going to work, paying your
Right.
bills, being independent because, I had to figure that out
Mm-hmm.
very quickly.
You had a very structured, like environment. It seems like even when we talked about like relocation, and you were very like, it was just you get a job and you work and you pay like it's very traditional in that sense. Where
Well, it's like my mom was also in the military, so it was like a militant household as well.
did you get your ass whooped a lot?
No, I actually didn't.
It wasn't militant.
I said I didn't get my ass whooped.
Oh, but everybody else did. Everybody else got hit.
I don't know nothing about that. I can't speak on anybody else's
That's
experience.
like you're watching.
But I might have gotten like one or two whoopings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was in a household that did get hit. I was a little bit rebel. I wasn't like a troublemaker kid, but I was like a kid that either like always talked back or like challenged authority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very much like, I didn't do anything, like, I wasn't a bad kid. I had a bad streak in like third grade. I would specifically remember like getting in trouble like almost every day in third grade. And I would only get in trouble because my classmates would snitch on me to like my sister, or my sister would tell my mom, or
Well,
like
you're trying to blame people for your bad decisions. You see, adulthood.
I was
taking
I was
accountability.
a victim of my circumstance. I was a class clown in third grade.
Okay, I was a class clown like throughout all of grammar school.
I was too, but after third grade, I knew how to like control it.
I honestly thought that I was going to become a comedian.
Really?
I don't know if I ever told you that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I thought I was going to become a
It's not
comedian.
too late.
Well, no, look at Lorraine.
What's her name? Leslie LeBeau.
Leslie LeBeau.
Okay, we have.
No, wait, no, we're not ready yet. We can't just give it to him dry like that.
I think we should give her a little promo.
She's getting a lot from us. Yeah, I thought I was going to be a comedian, and when I was in my early 20s, I was out in the street, and I ran into this, I guess he was like some sort of casting director or something like that, and he was kind of going back and forth with me, but not in an argumentative way, like we were kind of like just making jokes, and he was like, you're really quick and you're very witty. Have you ever thought of doing comedy? And I was like, no. I always, cause, I was a theater kid, so I always thought like maybe like comedy movies, but not in the way that he was suggesting. He's like, oh, you should go to the Laugh Factory and tell them that I sent you. And so I was like, okay. And so I went there, and I was super intimidated and insecure because I was like, I've never done this before. And then that's how I got into Second City. Do you remember that?
I remember.
Yeah.
Barely.
So that's when I started doing like improv. And then I
Okay.
really thought like, okay, but then adulthood comes and you realize you have bills and you have dreams, and I'm like, this might take too long, and I don't think I'm that funny, so I'm not doing that.
When I was a kid, I thought I was going to be like so many things. Like the main thing I thought I was going to be was a teacher.
Really? What grade? Third? So you could like get your lick back?
No, it was. I didn't have a grade per se, but I wanted to be a teacher. I used to play school all the time.
That's fun.
It's. Have you ever like played school?
Yeah, I used to play school. I mostly played like doctor or like house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Domesticated.
Yeah, even though I didn't have any of those things in my home.
I used to line my children up, walk them down the
Really?
hall, take them to lunch, bring them back, switch classes.
And you're not even a Sims fan. That's so interesting.
Yeah, I'm not really a video game person. We didn't have
Wow.
video games. We had like the cheap video games.
Like the one I had the one from Walgreens that was SpongeBob that you would just it had like the two AV cords. You just plug it into the TV and it had like a bunch of levels on it. Do you remember that? And the joystick was his nose.
We didn't have the SpongeBob game, but I do. I remember at some point we had like Zelda. I don't know what.
Oh wait, that wasn't the
Was-
cheap games. I'm talking about games from Walgreens.
No, I'm saying at one point we had Zelda. I remember playing, and we had. I don't know what system that was, but we had a few games.
Like
the ones we had to
GameCube?
blow on to like get to work.
Oh, Nintendo?
I don't fucking know.
That's the only thing I could think.
And then I remember us having like Walgreens consoles. Like they had like 100 games on them.
Oh yeah. I remember those.
Yeah.
They're like
But-
$29.99 and you're like, oof, that's a little steep.
The only time I
Walgreens
ever-
is expensive.
Yeah, the only time I ever played like real games was if I went to somebody else's house.
Okay.
Excuse me. As an adult though, Are there any things that you look back on, like as a child, that you wish you had not taken for granted? Like for me, you as a kid, you really don't understand the importance of like enjoying being a child, responsible, free child, and you essentially you can't do whatever you want because you're under the guide of an adult. But it's like you don't have to deal with real world issues. Say that 5 times.
I don't actually feel that way.
No.
Mm-mm. I was playing with toys till I was like 14 or 15.
Okay.
I definitely like. I don't think that I had like a perfect childhood, but I think that I had like. I mean, there's obviously trauma there.
Yeah.
But. But I think that I had enough. Like, I was very present in my childhood, so I didn't feel rushed to grow up. And I didn't feel like, oh my god, like I didn't get to do this or that. Like, I definitely found out we were poor when I was a kid. And it happened when I was, I think probably like in 6th grade, because every year, you go on summer vacation and like people would go places or like they get new bikes or like all these things, right? And then part of like the summer packet, you had to write an essay on like what you did this summer. And, I would always be like, I played with my toys outside and water guns and water balloons, which I feel so bad for these kids. They don't have any of those things.
Yeah.
Like cops and robbers, and like I used to have a slingshot, and there was like a cherry tree in the backyard, and but we couldn't eat the cherries, so I wasn't like wasting food. And I used to just like, we used to shoot cherries like all day.
Cherries.
They were like poisonous. They were not like edible,
Oh.
like for human consumption. So yeah, no, I think that I enjoyed my childhood.
I don't know when I stopped playing with toys, but I mean, I know I wasn't 14 playing with toys.
Did you have a favorite toy? If you don't remember your favorite toy, then you weren't really playing toys.
The only thing I can think of is like for Christmas one time, I got that, I don't know if you remember this, but this was back when the Chrysler 300 was like a thing. And so I had this really big white Chrysler remote control car. It was huge.
That was your favorite? How old were you?
I was probably like 11, 12.
Were you ever into like any of the franchises, like Spider-Man or like Harry Potter or anything like that? No?
I didn't get into that stuff until I became an adult.
Oh.
Ooh,
you know what? Actually, let's talk about it.
Yeah,
So,
I missed all of that.
is that how you feed your inner child now?
Somewhat. Like, actually, I've been planning on like getting back into like some of my favorite cartoons. Like I really want to do a binge of Fairly Odd Parents.
You know what? I feel like that show is like good for adults though.
Yeah, it probably is.
Like it's a funny. It's a funny, good show.
A lot of cartoons, like when I watch them back, it's like this is made for kids, but like if adults watch this, the themes are still relatable.
Like Inside Out 2, when that comes out, I'm gonna go see that movie. Whether I'm
Inside
alone.
Out kind of like gutted me to my core. I love that movie so much.
Yeah, that movie's. I feel like it has a large adult audience.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But in terms of like feeding my inner child, I don't know that I have many things that I can like go back to be like, oh, this reminds me of my childhood and it makes me happy.
What about things? So I actually feel like feeding your inner child. Well, at least what I've learned, and you actually told me, you were like, you're very in touch with your inner child.
Yeah, you are.
I think there's a lot of things that I've done that like remind me of sort of like that, like inner preteen thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's anything that I've missed out on, it's my teen years. So we'll obviously go into that, but like I went on this little hunt for like a PSP like 2 years ago, and I found it, and I got like the games that I played as a kid, and I beat them, and I just was like, it was very nostalgic, but it was so fun because I was thinking like, I remember when this used to be so hard, like I was such a stupid kid. Or just like, not necessarily watching old movies, but like even if I just look like sometimes I'll Google like some of the old toys that I had, and it's like a little like I don't know, it just feels nice.
Mhm.
So like maybe for you, it's not having an exact go-to. Maybe it's you creating something that you didn't have when you were a kid. Maybe it's buying a Harry Potter Funko Pop, or maybe it's buying a Barbie or something.
And see those things I thought about, cause like, you know what?
Are we getting exclusive right now?
So, in response to like what feeds my inner child, like, and I'm not even being dramatic or like trying to cause a scene right now, but like I feel like a lot of my childhood, my brain has probably deleted. You know, your brain like sometimes will block out trauma and you will forget it. So it's like a lot of stuff from my childhood, like I won't remember. Like my sisters will tell me stuff and I'll be like, I have no recollection of that.
Yeah.
But I did used to play with cars a lot, like Hot
You
Wheels.
did tell me that, yeah.
And so every time I go into like Walgreens or like anywhere that like sell Hot Wheels, I'm like, man, I should probably get one.
You should. I used to have this Hot Wheel, like, you know, the track? It was my favorite. I can remember like it was yesterday. It was, the theme was like an amusement park, and it was like this big roller coaster, but there was a shark, so I love sharks. And there was like a shark that is at the end of the roller coaster, and like your car has to go fast enough because it's on a timer. And so like if it got like out of time, then the shark would like bam.
I had one or two of those.
You need to just like, I would just do
I
that.
had like hundreds of Hot Wheels. And I would like lay them out. I had a blanket that had like this teddy bear pattern on it, so I would just pretend that the pattern was like the roads and shit like that. But
where would you draw the line then with feeding your inner child? So like, what if you have a close friend, me? What if for your birthday, I go to Iceland with you and I've coordinated a birthday?
Are you going to Iceland with me?
I don't know. That's to be determined.
Okay.
But I go to Iceland with you and I book a reservation for you, and like they bring out a Hot Wheels like cake, but like it wouldn't be like a cheap like jewel cake with a picture, like it's the shape of a car. Like would that be like, okay, this is cute, but this is too childish?
No, I mean that would be cool, but I do think about the childish aspect, because like sometimes I go to people's houses and they have like stuffed animals and they're like my age, and I'm like, you're an adult. Like I'm very strict with certain stuff like that. Like it's like, why do you have like? I don't get it. I'm not judging, but
I am, because I won't come back. But I do have, like Funko Pops. When guys have all those things in their house, I'm just like, all right, well, it looks like you got enough toys. You don't need me.
But on that note, like, I feel like that's a little different. Like, if they're like a nerdy collector,
no.
Like I probably wouldn't date you, but this is kind of cute actually that you're a nerd about this. You know.
So one thing that I have note, like, so when I was in therapy, I wasn't like, it wasn't that gay wasn't embraced, but they definitely weren't buying me like the toys that I wanted. Like they weren't buying me a Barbie dream house.
Yeah, I wanted one.
Same. I kind of still want one. And so when I went to therapy, I don't remember what we were talking about, and I think I told you this, but she was like feed your inner child, like give him permission, like go to the store and buy a Barbie. And I was like, okay. So like I was super excited, like I like the anticipation of like me going to the store, like I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get a Barbie, what, this is crazy. And then I picked the cheapest one. I didn't really care. I was just like, all right, just like the idea. And then after I swiped it, I had it in the bag and I was walking out and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like the excitement and the fulfillment was like early quenched. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I have one now for like if my nieces come over. But the idea of feeding that was enough for me to kind of know like, okay, this is what the experience would be like.
My friend actually, because I love The Office, he actually bought me like an Office Funko Pop. I forgot. I think it was.
Yeah, I didn't know that you love The Office that much. You know that there's Legos of The Office. I would have bought you Legos of The Office.
I'm sure. Don't.
Legos are so therapeutic to build.
That feeds your inner child, but I'm not into Legos. Never have been. If I came into an adult man's house and he was like a Lego collector, I feel the same way about that.
I didn't say a Lego collector.
But you like Legos.
You know
You
what?
don't
I
have
actually,
them in your home.
I
but
yeah, I
you
don't
do
have
like-
them in my. Well, I actually do have one. I have a big airplane. I have to show it to you. It's in the
Oh.
drawer.
But
But see, I
my-
don't display them. They're very. It's very subtle. It's not like.
that's the point I'm getting to. Like my friend bought me the Funko Pop office thing, and I cherish it because he gave it to me, and I really appreciate it, and I do like it. But it's in a cabinet because like it doesn't go with anything in my house.
Yeah, it's just like a little like something you throw in like a memory box.
Yeah.
So
I'm really appreciative. if you
that
watch
kind
this.
of like transitions us into what I was gonna ask, which is how do you acknowledge your adult self? Because I feel like there's always this like feed your inner child, feed your inner teen, and like we don't ever discuss what it's like to actually just be in the present and acknowledge that person.
I don't know.
Mm.
Because I'm really like, for lack of a better word, boring as an adult, I think.
Interesting.
Like I do ABC. I wake up, I go to work, I come home.
Yeah.
That's most of my life.
Wow. Well, okay.
So like in terms of like,
But
and I'm
acknowledging-
getting there. Like I'm like, okay.
But
like,
acknowledging doesn't have to be something that's like a big deal. Like it does, you know what I'm saying? Like acknowledging, like you don't need to go on a trip to be like, okay, acknowledge you adult self. Like I don't think it's that.
I mean, I don't know.
So
I think my biggest thing is just like being able to do whatever I want and choosing to do nothing.
okay, I think that's an acknowledgement. Like if you just
Yeah.
feel like, all right, you've done a lot this week. Like we're just gonna do nothing this weekend.
And and now that I think about it, that might be a little like just to do a little armchair therapy. Like a chaotic childhood probably is the reason why I'm so like anti doing anything. Because I just want peace and calm all the time.
I've learned actually so much about you through
Really.
these few sessions. Like I'm very like, we need to get you a therapist. We need to get you on dating sites. We need to like. I show up for my adult self, and I feel like I'm learning how to do that because I've realized that as I've gotten older and I look back at things, I'm like, you know, I was really hard on myself, and like I didn't really give myself credit for this, or I wasn't really in the moment, or like if I look back at some of the trips that I've been on, and I'm like, this was a big deal. Like you should be proud of yourself. So actually, when I moved, it's funny because we just talked about relocation not too long ago. But when I moved out here, I told you, obviously we talked about like the struggles, and I just had this weird desire to drive down that street that I used to live on. And so I was like, damn, all right, like let's just drive. So I got in the car, and it was like 10 o'clock, it was a work week, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I got in the car, drove there, and the garage is obvious, like you need a key fob. Because if not, you can go all the way to the top of the garage and there's like a roof entry. I don't think anyone knows about that, but I just did my spot. So when I went to the garage, there wasn't anything that was open. So I was like, you know what, it's okay, like I'll just wait. And then a car came and the garage opened. So I was like, this is just destiny. Like this is supposed to happen. And then I drove to the top, went to my spot, and I just acknowledged my adult self. And I was like, we figured this shit out. Like I remember when this was your reality when you lived here, and like I did get a little like emotional, but it wasn't like a sad, it was more of like an appreciation. And so I think that's how I'm acknowledging like adult me.
What's been like the most jarring thing that you've had to come to terms with as an adult?
That no one cares about anything that you're going through. No matter what you're going through, no matter who it is, no one really actually cares. And if you do find people who really do care, you need to keep them around forever.
Okay. What has made you feel like that? Like nobody cares?
I
I mean, because it's not, I mean,
think
that's not
people can
incorrect.
say that they care. I think it's just more of an action. People will always say that they care, but I think about all the stuff that I have going on in my life, whether it be good stuff, bad stuff, things I have to work through, and like taking on someone else's problems that I don't really like I have certain friends that I would take that responsibility on, but like you would be one of them. But just like the mass amount of people that we know, like even certain family members, I wouldn't.
For me, I think it's been like it's kind of like along those same lines. Like nobody cares, but it's more so like you really are on your own.
Yeah.
And it's like nobody's obligation to like help you do anything
At all.
and so like a lot of that just I don't know, it kind of feeds like my hyper independence sometimes,
Yeah.
which is not necessarily the greatest thing.
We're also like our plan A, B, and C though, for other reasons that you don't want to talk about yet.
Yeah.
But as you get older and you realize those things, do you ever think that you're too old for stuff? Like, are we too old to be on social media, or to have like favorite artists, or to like engage in like social media drama, like being shady or throwing shots, or all that type of stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I mentioned two different things.
Yes.
Are we too old to be on social media?
No.
What age do you think we should get off?
I don't think there's an age. Social media is a tool. And people
If you're using it for business.
It doesn't have to be for business, it can be for pleasure. People use social media because it's a way to connect to people. Now, I think the way people use social media can be outaged. Like,
Outdated.
Like my Twitter was suspended almost 3 years ago, and I haven't been back on. I feel like I'm too old to be on Twitter arguing with people, which is why I won't get back on. Because I know the minute I see something stupid, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
And like even on Instagram, like I'll say something like that was dumb or whatever. But like I go on about my day. Like, but there are people who actually. I might be too old for this because sometimes when somebody pisses me off, like a celebrity, like I'll tag them. Like recently I tagged Amber Rose and she DM'd me back.
Oh really?
Girl, don't DM me.
Can we say what it said?
I said I hope the next. Now I'm too old for this, but I was mad. Okay, hear me out.
Okay, what did you say? This is the first time I'm hearing this.
I told her I hope the next time she goes to the barbershop and gets a haircut, that they dump a bucket of alcohol on her head.
Oh my god. That is so intense. And what
But that's like a light thing, because the alcohol burns.
Right. And so
it's like she's gonna burn in hell for endorsing Donald Trump. Is how I feel.
Okay. Well, what did she say?
Dump over him.
What's she saying?
Let's move on. But I feel like certain stuff.
Did she clap back, or was she like?
It wasn't a real clap back. But don't enter my DMs, even though I entered hers.
Okay,
but
tell me.
But you see my point. But you see my point. Like some stuff you are too old for. Like I don't think that was appropriate, and I can acknowledge that now. But it's like I also don't think it's appropriate to
I don't fight with anyone on social media, and like I've never really been like the type of like, unless it was like for like Stan Twitter, I never would be on there to like.
Yeah, I think Stan Twitter is like teenagers.
But I never, I wouldn't like even on Instagram. Like I see people like sharing like those quotes and shit, where it's like, "You were fake, but I was real. Loyalty doesn't exist, Nikki." But
now, I think that's an age thing, because I think older people post stuff like that. Like people in their 20s post stuff like that when they're like going through a breakup. But even then, I don't post anything like that. I think the quote thing is like just like it's like if you go down somebody's story and it's like quote after quote after quote after quote after quote, it's just like you're just an old person using Instagram.
Okay. What about having a favorite artist? Are we ever too old to have a favorite artist? And where do we draw the line at having a favorite artist? Like in terms of what we do?
I think in terms of what we do, there might be like an age thing, but like I don't think there's an age limit on having a favorite artist.
Okay, so what are those?
Barbra Streisand fans are old as fuck and they still love Barbra Streisand.
That's true, but like they're not camping out for her.
They're old.
Yeah, but I feel like the Barbs are kind of crazy. I feel like if Nicki was still making an album when we were like 42 and this was like her comeback, I think we'd all like dust off our canes, dust off our pink wigs, and be like,
I'm gonna download the album, but I'm not. Even with this recent concert, the Pink Friday 2, I got there. I didn't wait 5 hours before the show started to get there. I got there in the middle of,
I think that's growth, because even though I did do multiple shows, like after the first show, like I knew what to expect the second round. And like the group of people that I was with, they were very much like, the doors open at 5. And I'm like, but the show doesn't start till 9. So what are we supposed to do?
Like I might be there at 8:45.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's different. I don't know. I feel like I'm. So you think we're too old to do the camping out and doing all that other stuff?
I just wonder, like, what maybe they're feeding their inner child though.
Yeah.
Like, and we just talked about that.
I just don't have the desire. I guess it's not too much like an age thing. Like, oh my god, I'm too old. Like, because if you think about it, like when I have kids, if my kids love a certain artist and like they're too young to like wait outside to win tickets or something, like I would be the one waiting for them.
Okay.
Like I would do that for them.
That's cute.
Yeah.
But then you'll be the old man in line that somebody's on their podcast talking about.
No, because I would be there like I'm here for my kids to gain sympathy and payola.
I don't think everything is like something that you just like age out of. But I do think there's like some evolution that should occur like as you mature.
I do agree. I actually just ran into the next topic on accident. What age limit do you think, or what age, not age limit, but when do you think we need to start thinking about kids?
I think you should start thinking about kids whenever you want to, if you decide that you want kids. That's not a goal of mine, the same with marriage.
Like ever?
I don't think about it.
Oh, I think about having kids every day.
Then you should.
Yeah.
When
do you think that you'd be too, like for us it's different because we're men, right? And obviously we can't get anyone pregnant.
Robert De Niro's too fucking old to have kids.
Oh my god.
There's an age limit.
You know what?
To running behind kids. You can't even do a deep knee squat.
I know, but like that's crazy that his like semen still works after all these years. I hope that I'm like that.
Well, that is the goal as a man, to have a hard penis every morning. But like for me, I
wouldn't say that. I mean, I don't know if he's hard every morning, though.
But my thing with kids is like, I would have to be in true deep love to submit to having kids.
Okay. What do you like? Okay, as we get older, you know, like you said, kids, and just like feeding another child, all these things kind of like coming full circle. Why do you think that we tend to care less as we get older? Like, do you feel that there's truth to that saying? Like, I remember everyone's like, "Oh, your 30s are great. You just don't care as much." And this,
yeah, I hear that a lot, and I'm excited for that part of my life.
What do you think it is? Like, why do you think? I mean, do you even care now? Like, I guess is the real question.
I care less. Like you said, like every year that passes is like I care less like about stuff that doesn't really matter to me. And I think it kind of works both ways, because you know when you're a kid, you kind of don't have a fear of anything because you haven't experienced anything. It's like a kid will jump from, you know, the 10th step and be like, "Oh, this is fine." And then they don't know that that's a problem until you break their leg. And then now they know not to jump off the 10th step. So now the fear comes. But as you get older, like superficial stuff, you start to care less about, like looks, things, people exiting your lives. It's like when you get older, you're more okay with just like letting people go. Like, I don't have to hold on to this relationship if it's not serving me. It's not really worth my time.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I think, if anything, just my interests have changed. I think I've, like, even when it comes to people, like, maybe having opinions about certain things, or, like, I think I've cared less about those. I don't know. But it hasn't come because I'm getting older. I think it's because of the more things that I've done in my life. Like, a couple of years ago, I feel like I'm going to make my family seem like they're homophobic, but maybe they are. A couple of years ago, I had a little bit of a dispute. And the only thing that was like always constantly said was like, "Well, we don't judge you for being this way." And I was like, "Well, you keep saying that, so like I guess you actually do." And like it kind of came up again recently, and it did bother me back then, but this time it didn't bother me. It actually kind of made me laugh, because I'm like, all these years and you guys still haven't found anything else? Jesus, like I must be really killing it. So I think if anything, even from outside people, and comparing yourself, I actually haven't really done that in a long time anymore.
Yeah, I'm glad I got rid of that a few years ago.
It's so like, because what I do doesn't take away from the next person, and so what the next person does isn't going to take away from me. Like, I think when you really focus on just building your own lane, then you're good. So I'm hoping that I feel like I've had a really great run in my 20s. I know that we're going to talk about that more in depth, but I'm excited for what that next decade looks like for us. Because then, I mean, after that, that's really it. Then we're fucking 40.
You know, I wonder if I will be like single
I'm surprised that that's even
for
a
another
question.
decade.
I don't think so. I think it'll naturally happen. Like, I think you're working on different things.
I just wonder when I'm gonna put the effort into that. Like if I will ever get the
I think when
urge.
you want it enough. Yeah, I think you just don't want it enough. I think you like the idea, but you're not sold on the outcome. But I think once you have a few more experiences, you're still finding yourself. Like you're still coming, and not necessarily like meaning you're lost, but you're still like blossoming. There's still parts of you that have to be discovered. There's still parts of you that you have to make peace with, celebrate, love, all of those things. And even if you don't do all of those things, you'll still find someone, but you'll know because you'll have the energy to put it forward.
Do you have any favorite childhood movies or TV shows?
Oh, too many to fucking name right now. Childhood movies. I loved The Sandlot when I was a kid.
The Sandlot. What is that?
The baseball movie.
Mm.
Where the new kid moves into the neighborhood and there's already kind of like a neighborhood like baseball team going on and he wants to join but they don't really fuck with him like that. And then
was he black?
No, there was only one black kid in that movie and he was not the main character. And they had like this neighbor who had like this huge like vicious dog, and in order for the new kid on the block to join the team, like he wanted to impress them, and his dad had a Babe Ruth baseball, like a signed baseball. And so he brought it over like to show the kids and they were like, yeah, let's play with it. And then it went over to the side with the dog. Okay. So the movie is like basically about like young friendship and bonding and all the little cool shit. I also really love Small Soldiers. You remember that movie? About the fucking soldiers who come alive.
You're gonna explain it to me, and I'm not
gonna go into that because you don't know none of these movies. I love The Little Mermaid. That's still my favorite Disney movie. You haven't seen it?
No.
Did you at least see the black one?
No.
Because you're not really black. I think, well, let's cap it at 3 because I could keep going. As far as TV shows, when I was a kid, I watched South Park. So I did like South Park. We sometimes had cable and sometimes didn't. And so I really loved, actually, no, I want to save that one memory for our next segment. But there was a show, the other shows that we'll save that part. Okay, I found my little thing. Okay.
In terms of, I don't know if I have any like favorites from being a child, but like going back to our conversation earlier about like how to feed my inner child, like I watch stuff that my mama used to watch, like Tom and Jerry. Well, like even like music. Oh. I think Tom and Jerry was cool.
Yeah. Do you watch it because it brings you comfort or because you don't know what to watch?
Tom and Jerry?
No, like stuff that your mom either listened to or like.
I don't know. I guess it's just like, I don't know. I never really thought about that, but it's probably to feed my inner child. I don't know, subconsciously. But like old stuff like 227, The Jeffersons, Good Times, like old shows, Matlock.
Okay. Like very like 1980.
But most of the time it's like things that bring me back to being a child is like older music. So like blues.
Like ragtime.
Blues, soul, like 70s R&B, like that type of stuff. And as an adult, like I don't really listen to like a whole lot of new music unless I just like come across it or it's like, you know, something fun. But most of the time I'm listening to some old shit.
Yeah, you're like really old. I actually kind of learned that, like you coming out here. I was just like, You know, I will say this. My biggest fear about getting older has always been like, oh my god, I'm not going to be cool anymore.
Oh, I don't have that fear.
I'm definitely cool.
I'm gonna be cool as fuck.
Bitch, you're not even cool now.
I'm very
I
cool.
hope that you get cooler because right now, bitch, you're giving me old lady.
I think old ladies are cool.
Right, and that's why you're not cool.
I am cool. I'm gonna be the cool gay uncle. I'm gonna be hot. I'm gonna have a nice body. I'm gonna have tattoos. I'm gonna have, motorcycles and cars.
You're gonna be the rich auntie who's had a roommate for her whole life.
No, because I don't envision people living in my home. So.
I guess maybe he'll be single for another day.
But that's another part of adulthood, which I don't know if you really want to talk about this right now, but like living alone is fantastic for me.
Oh yeah! Oh my god!
I know it's part of the reason what keeps me out of a relationship because like I don't aspire to share space with people because I don't
almost feel like we need, if we do get in relationships, like we would need to have like another room.
Yeah. 2 rooms minimum.
I was gonna say, actually I was thinking that, I was like maybe like a room for him to do his things and then like a room for me to do my things.
And then like we just pick which room we want to sleep in today.
No.
Because I think we should sleep together if we're gonna. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, oh okay, I see what you're saying.
We need to sleep together.
I wouldn't have bedrooms in there. Like I'd have like, I'm 4
rooms.
No, oh my god, no, I'm imagining like one specific person, so like I know that they're more in tune with like artistic activities, like sewing and like all that type of stuff. So I'd imagine like that stuff in there, and then like in mine, I imagine like a TV with like my PlayStation and like
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't have any fears about getting older.
Are we too old for video games, by the way?
I don't think so.
Okay, good, because I'm really excited.
I think you're too old for video games if you are lacking in other areas of your life.
Okay.
Like if you have 3 kids, no job, and you're not supporting your babies or your baby mama, and you're playing video games.
Oh, okay. Oh, so okay, I see what you did there.
I think you're too old for that.
Okay, next. What do you got? What else you got? What else you
got? I mean, I think that's pretty much, that covers adulthood, but let's talk about this before we go. Is there an artist from your childhood, dead or alive, besides Nicki Minaj?
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna name her.
Okay. That you really love, or you would love to meet?
Ooh. There's really only one artist that comes to mind. No, you're gonna drag me.
Oh.
Well, who are we gonna say?
I thought you were gonna say Selena.
I am gonna say Selena.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why would I drag you for Selena?
Bitch, because you be calling me Mexican. Yeah, I don't know about that. This might even not make the final cut.
I do not call you Mexican. I think you're Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican.
I more so call you white than anything.
Yeah, no, now you do. Yeah, I would say Selena. The reason why is because as a kid, it's funny, I think we all had like the same rule in the household. We never, and like even her family knows about this. A lot of us weren't allowed to watch the ending of Selena. Like, so a lot of us never knew that she died. And I remember finding out that Selena was dead when I was like maybe like in 4th or 5th grade. Because I was like, oh, I love Selena. And they were like, she's dead. And I was like, no, she ain't. I just watched the movie. And like at the time, this is when we would get like, you remember when we would go to the library pass and you guys could use the computers and like we were learning how to use internet. And that's really when I first found out that she was dead. But that's also when I found out that she was in Aries. And so it just kind of like...
So she was a little chaotic queen.
Yeah, a little chaotic queen, and just, I think the idea, it wasn't so much that I heard her music playing around in the house, because I actually heard a lot of like, my mom listened to a lot of like alternative music, so like she liked Marilyn Manson, but then she had like Prince, and then she had Madonna, like, so there was a bunch of artists that,
eclectic.
Yeah, but Selena was really the only artist that I liked on my own independently, and it wasn't because I heard it in the house. But then just like seeing everything that she was able to do, it wasn't, I didn't look at her as like, oh, it's because she's a woman or because she's like, in my mind I was like, she's an Aries, that's why she did it, so I like her.
I think mine is Beyonce.
Really? Even as a kid?
Even as a kid, yeah.
That's fun.
I remember we had their first single, No No No, on the A&E side on the cassette.
Yeah.
Because it was the original and remix. And it was just always Beyonce. Like the Beyonce Experience concert, like that DVD kind of like formed the gay man that I am today.
Really?
Yeah, I know all the moves, I know all the ad libs.
Okay, now that you said that, I'll add another one in there because Spice Girls.
Okay.
I was obsessed with Posh Spice.
Yeah.
And that's Victoria Beckham. And also she's an Aries too, and I didn't know that till much later in life.
Okay. I was also obsessed with Alicia Keys. I used to tell people to call me Frederick Keys. Or Mr. Keys.
Okay, I can see that. Like on Facebook, like Frederick the Keys.
That was before Facebook. I was in like 4th grade, 3rd grade.
Jeez.
Yeah. Any other artists? I was never really a male artist guy.
Me either as a kid, because now you got me digging in my memories, and I'm like, actually, my first CD that I ever had was Britney Spears.
That's super gay.
I know. It was Britney Spears.
Like legendary gay.
And I remember it was that album, it was like with the beads, and she's like peeking out of
I
them.
don't know, I wasn't a Britney girl.
I had that one, and then I had the one that was blue. I don't remember, but I loved her. And I also even got a Cher CD. There's just no way that they didn't know.
There's like, how didn't you know? And to that point, like the first 2 CDs I ever bought was Lil' Kim, The Naked Truth, and Trina, The Glamorous Life.
My first.
And my mother bought them for me. So it's like, you didn't know, sister?
Right. No, my first ever rap CD was 50 Cent, and then after him was Missy Elliott.
Okay, mumbling and cackling.
Yeah, and it was that album, what was it called? It was a song that had like Pass the Dutch on it.
Missy Elliott's a legend. She has a lot of hits.
She is. She's a legend.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that her tour finally sells.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Something in Common. If you want to join us, please subscribe to my YouTube at Blackberry, and you can find us on your favorite streaming apps and all the socials and all those types of things. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.